Java Tutorials in 5. My name is Michelle.
And my name's Sanika.
And today we are going to explain logical operators.
So if you notice, we're also in a different environment today. So this is called JGrasp. If you have any questions about this, leave them in the comments and we'll try to answer them.
Alright, so why do we use logical operators? We use them because when we have more than one condition that we need to check.
So, for example, let's look at this. Let's look at this part 1 scenario.
So in this example, there are two integers, x and y. X being set equal to 2 and y being set equal to 0. So the first statement checks if x is equal to 2. If it is true, then I move on to the next statement, which it is. So we will move on to the next statement. So if statement checks if y is not equal to 2, and if it's not, it moves on to the next statement, which is also true, so it will print out the following statement. Both conditions are true. So let's test and see what happens.
You kind of ignore that. Let's look at this first part. So both conditions are true is printed out because both conditions are true. Okay, let's move on to the next part.
So if we want to shorten the code, which is very important in Java, we can do this. In this if statement, it checks simultaneously if x is equal to 2 and if y is not equal to 2. This function is called the AND function.
So that's represented by this double ampersand thing. We can basically, instead of saying ampersand, ampersand, we can just say and. So if x is equal to 2 and y is not equal to 2, it's going to print out this condition, or it's going to print out this statement, both conditions are true. So we already ran this, and as you see, it says both conditions are true down here, and that's going to work.
Alright, so let's move on to part 2. Let's look at logical operators a little bit more in depth. First is the logical not, also known as the exclamation point, and its function is to invert the value of the boolean. For example, if the boolean was originally true, the logical not will make the value false. Next is the logical and, or the two ampersands, which returns true if both values are true, otherwise it's false. And lastly, we had the logical or, the two straight lines, which returns true if either values are true. If both values are false, then it returns false. So first we will revisit our double ampersand. So in this statement here, it checks if these two conditions are true and false. If both conditions are true, then it will return as true, but as you can see here, one is false. So what do you think will happen?
It's going to return false.
Good job! As you can see here in this statement, because there is a false statement in there, the whole entire thing will return as false. It will only print out true when both statements are true. So let's change it to true and see what happens. As you can see here, because both statements are true.
Okay, we didn't change this, but this is supposed to say true and true is equal to true.
As you can see, because both statements are true, the whole entire thing returns as true. So our next logical operators will be our OR statements.
Okay. I'm an uncommon. Okay, so the OR symbol is represented by these double straight line things.
A lot of people have questions on where they can be found, but they can be found, they'll either be below either the backspace on Windows or below the delete space on Macs.
You basically have to hit the shift / button to get that sign. And like that's a pretty big problem because no one really knows where that symbol is because you never use it in your life. So let's go back to OR. So if something is true and something is true, or something is false and something is true, then it's going to print out true. As long as one of the conditions here is going to be true, it's going to return true. Okay, let me change that this time. So let's run this, and sure enough, in the console over here, true or false is going to be true. So when would this ever print false? Because this seems like a pretty lenient logical operator. So let's, okay, if both conditions are false, it's going to print out false. Okay, I'm going to hit the other button. So false and false is going to make the OR operator print out false. So it's only going to print false when both statements are false. So if any one of those conditions are going to be true, it's going to return true. Let's look at the next part.
So lastly, we have our logical not operator, which is represented by the exclamation point. So in this first statement, it says if something is not true, what will it print out?
It's going to print out false because the opposite of true is false.
The logical operator's function is to invert the value of the Boolean. So let's see what happens when we run it.
So if something is not true, it's going to be false, and if something is not false, it's going to be true. This is pretty logical, and this makes sense. So I wouldn't go about memorizing this stuff. Just like know the basic conditions.
And think through it before you do
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. So, okay, let's look at the third part. I guess you remember that we used the not equal sign a little bit late, like a little bit earlier when we did y is not equal to 2. So we're going to just go into depth on that now. So this program, or this part 3, is going to get us to enter a user input, and it's going to test if that user input is equal to 3, first of all. So let's just run it. So it says, please enter an int. And so to do this, we're using the scanner class over here. If you're confused about that, check out our video on it. So, okay, so UI stands for user input. So we're testing if UI is equal to 3. So let's enter 3. And because 3 is equal to 3, this is going to be true. If you're still confused about if statements, go check out our video on it. It was like the last video.
Links will be put in the description.
Yeah, links in the description. So because this is 3 and I'm going to hit enter, it's going to, that whole statement is going to be true, and then it's going to print out this next line, this is true. And I hit the enter at the wrong spot. Okay. So the next, let me fix that. Okay, it's fixed. So the next part is UI2. So we're going to enter another int, and this time, instead of checking if it's equal to, like equal to 3, we're testing if it's not equal to 3. So that's an example of a use of the logical not. So let's enter like 4, not there. Let's enter 4 here and see what happens. So this is true because 4 is not equal to 3. It's going to print out this first statement. Let's try this again.
So if we check out the first statement, it says if UI is not equal to 3. So what happens if it says if UI is equal to 3, then it printed the following statement. But when it's not equal to 3, what will happen?
So we just entered 3, and 3 not equal to 3, that's a false statement, right? Because 3 is equal to 3. So what it's going to do is, instead of doing this if statement, it's going to go down to this else statement and print out this is false. We're going to cover this a little bit more in the next video, so keep watching and stay tuned. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section, and we will try to respond to you. Thanks for watching.